Well, President Trump met with Republican lawmakers yesterday to discuss another round of possible tax cuts. Now, critics claim the tax cut discussions are a way to garner more votes for the GOP in the November midterms. And that's where I want to welcome in my next guest, University of Maryland economist Peter Morici. Peter, from your perspective, is a new round of tax cuts a good idea, or is it just political posturing a few months ahead of the midterms?
It's a bit of both. Let's face it, they have no way of paying for the tax cuts without cutting entitlements. I mean, there's some things they could increase. They could finally go after the carried interest. But, you know, Secretary Mnuchin is so good at defending Goldman Sachs' turf in Washington. I mean, it's as if they sent him with a note. You know, don't expect to come back to New York someday if you don't defend the carried interest, keep mergers going in China, no investment sanctions, things like that. And, you know, right down the line, we see that he defends those things. So where is the money going to come from? Where is he going to raise it?
Now,
you know, we haven't heard from him.
Well, speaking of New York, now 4 blue states, New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, and your home state of Maryland, sued the federal government over the original tax reform plan yesterday. They're alleging that the new law unfairly singles out high-tax blue states. Your thought on that, Peter?
Well, that's interesting. I mean, New York State, Maryland, they're really interested in, like, singling out wealthy people. So we're helping them do it. I mean, they're interested in income redistribution, so we're just giving them a hand. By the way, my home state is New York. I happen to teach in Maryland, but I live in the good state of Virginia because I wouldn't pay Maryland's taxes for anything.
Well, there you go. My home state's New York as well, and I left and went south myself. Now, former Senator, Libertarian Ron Paul is voicing some concerns about the economy. He was recently on CNBC, and he said that although the markets are in good shape, this is the biggest bubble in the history of mankind. Let's listen to Ron Paul.
The Congress spending and the Federal Reserve manipulation of monetary policy and interest rate. So debt is too big. The current account is in bad shape. Foreign debt is bad. And it's not going to change. We have a president that likes to spend.
So, Peter, can you treat us like your students? Can you simplify the former congressman's concerns and let us know if you agree with them?
I agree that we have a debt problem, but it's a long-term problem. It's this problem of the very large trade deficit, which requires us to borrow from abroad. And to do that, we have to have a big budget deficit, both to keep the country going and to make the accounts balance. Now, we don't have to have $800 billion, but we have to have a big one. And that's a problem because our external debt, what we owe the rest of the world, forget about what we owe each other and the money, the bonds and the Social Security trust account and all that nonsense. What we owe the rest of the world is getting big. And over the next decade, it'll get to the kind of size that caused places like Spain to collapse. But we print the world's money, so that gives us an unusual advantage. We really don't know how far we can go with this before people would turn away from the dollar. So he does have a point. But, you know, Ron Paul is always saying there's going to be a crisis, and every 10 years he's correct because, you know, we do have bubbles in financial markets.
But Peter, is it the biggest bubble in the history of mankind?
As the economy grows, as globalization increases, whatever bubbles we have are always bigger than the previous bubbles. So, you know, again, that's one of those things is there are people every year that predict a financial crisis. One of them happens to pick the right year to say it, and then we say he's a sage. You show me someone who's picked 2 in a row. But the size of the debt that will be out there the next time we have a bubble and it bursts will be bigger than the last one. Now, whether that will be enough to cause the kind of economic calamity and recession that we had is another question. But we have had bubbles going back to the beginning of industrialization and markets and business cycles. The tulip bubble.
Peter, real quick, I want to take a quick left turn here and talk about an article you published on Newsmax.com yesterday, Apple's dangerous new nanny app. You say at first glance it looks like a useful tool for parenting as it monitors and limits children's time on iPhones. But can you, in about, about 45 seconds, expand on your concerns about this app?
If you have a child like the central character in Rebel Without a Cause, you need this app. But most children should be counseled by their parents, discussed with them, as to what's appropriate cell phone use, smartphone use, and how to budget their time so that they learn executive skills and the kinds of skills they're going to need to succeed when they leave home. Monitoring them and automatically shutting off the phone is hardly a way to build trust or develop self-control in our young people. I don't like it.
Peter Morici, as always, we appreciate your insights. Thanks for being with us.
Take care.
Coming up, how did the president's Russia comments look from a marketing standpoint? We're going to be right back and tell you what we and some experts think about that. Stick around.